So with the years of experience and the passion of innovation, our guest Emmanuel will take you on a journey through the ever-evolving landscape of the DevOps industry. So he'll be sharing valuable lessons learned and strategies for staying ahead of the curve. So please, everyone, welcome Emmanuel.
All right. Hello, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are joining from. As you can see on the screen, my name is Emmanuel Agboito, and I'm a DevOps engineer. I am from Nigeria, and I currently live in the United States. Before we go on into the journey of a DevOps engineer, I wish to thank Neman and the Thinkcloudly team for giving me the opportunity to be here to speak to you guys today. And please, guys, can you all give a thumbs up to the first speaker? As I don't know how to pronounce the other name. Can you all give a thumbs up to him? That was an inspiring story and a journey, and that personally inspired me as well. So
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it was quite interesting and inspiring because, I didn't see the time when he was talking. I was like submerged in the conversation and I didn't see the time. It was going. And then I realized, oh, we are already up to time. But welcome, Emmanuel, to this session. We really wanted to have this session from a long time, because a lot of people, they want to know like what's going on in the life of a DevOps engineer. I've been myself into a DevOps role for a quite a long time, but when I say something, people think Naman is very biased. He always likes IT. Let's hear from someone who has recently or probably has got the job probably in last 6 months, and he shares his journey. I think that would be wonderful. So that's why I think you got a job like a few months back, and that's why we wanted to invite you because I know you that you're the one who can share it. As best of your knowledge, best of your experience to all the students who are here with us. Yes.
all right, thank you once again, Neman, Thinkcloudly, and everyone here. Let us dive into
Yeah, into the
you know
question. Yes. So the first question,
yes.
what we are basically going to ask you, this is completely on behalf of our audience who is here. The first question we want to ask you is like, can you tell us a bit of about your journey to become a DevOps engineer? I know that when you started your journey, when we spoke very first time, and when you got the job, there was a journey you went through. It was a stressful journey. But if you can just spend like maximum probably 3 or 4 minutes and tell us about it, I think that would be a good start.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, my journey basically into DevOps engineering, kind of come from inspiration of, try to be involved in, software development. I'm this kind of a person that I am, very into IT. I love to be, around the IT environment, and then, went back to school, got some, you know, degrees in computer science, information system, and cybersecurity. And I discovered the world of software development was becoming more evolving, where we need to, combine development and operation. So that triggered me into going into the field of becoming a DevOps engineer. And then I discovered that, yeah, one cannot be, a DevOps engineer without, cloud platform. So I decided to, lean my interest more towards AWS at the time. So, I gained a valuable insight, a valuable um, training. At the time I was in school, at the time I was working, so it was kind of difficult for me to actually um, get into, another training. So what I did was that I was actually training myself in DevOps area to some extent. Then I came across Thinkcloudly online, and then I decided to give it a try. And I talked to Naman, and he gave me all the roadmap, and I signed up with Thinkcloudly, and they began to clear my doubts, whatever I have learning, when I was self-teaching myself, they put me more in an appropriate track. I ask question, they clear my doubt. We solve some tasks together. Whenever I run into some troubles, I can always reach out to Naman and his team. And the journey was kind of smooth for me at that point. I became more confident of myself, having a degree, in computer science already. So, definitely I know some level of coding using Git Bash, Python, Java, and all of that. So, but definitely I needed to know more about Terraform and, other configurations and other kind of languages that I use more in
So
DevOps
Emmanuel,
Engineer.
what are the important if you can tell me like what was the interview process like? How many interviews you went through? Like
Okay,
number of interviews you went through before you landed your first job, and how many offers were you having before you picked up the first one?
right. Well, I will basically tell you that as a DevOps engineer or somebody who is coming into IT, you should be prepared to go through a lot of interviews. You may be lucky, you may just do one or two or three or five and you will get called up. At some point, you may do up to 20, 25, 15, 10, depending on what the organization is looking for. So for me, I think I did about 10 or 12 interview before I was able to get the job I'm doing right now. Not because, I was not able to say what they were expecting, but because definitely when you are going to an interview, you should go to an interview with a mindset of competition. Someone else is somewhere going to nail something that you are not able to nail. That is not a discouragement. It is normal in a journey of applying for job. Same way you are going to say something that someone else is not saying, and the organization is going to actually be okay with what you're saying, and then they call you up. So basically I went through a lot of interview, I went through stages of interview, and for every interview I went through, I come back with something new that I learned from it, and then I come back and
Which
then
means,
develop
which it was
myself
a
in
it
it.
was a learning. So you what you're trying to say is that it was a learning after every interview, and that became a very important input for your next interview. Am I right?
Right, right.
Wow.
Whatever I learned from a previous interview, it become, a pivotal point of making, a more significant point for my next interview. So coming to my job offer, actually, I was able to nail my interview that in a week, just within the 7 days, I got two jobs offers in a week.
Wow. Wow. That was
Yes,
that.
I got two job offers in a week, but along the line, I discovered what the other job offer was actually, giving out in terms of personnel development, in terms of compensation, and in terms of other factors were not actually aligning with my interests at the time. So I talked to Naman about it, and I decided to say, okay, since I have two offers, let me keep that aside for now and go with what I wanted. And what I am doing right now, actually, the company aligned with what I wanted, and that is why I went for it. And I enjoy myself doing it right now.
Very nice. I mean, the good part is that you attended many interviews. If I just conclude it for the audience who are listening to you, and every interview was a learning for you for a next interview. That was good. And within like 7 days, because you were able to build your skills because of the live training with the expert, you were able to build your skills to the level that you could able to bag two jobs offers within 7 days. I mean, that was a quite smooth, smooth process you had. So thank you so much, Emmanuel, for sharing that. I think the learning for students is just to basically go for multiple interviews and learn from it, right? That's a
Right.
learn. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Always make sure that you apply to not less than 10 to 15 jobs in a day. That is
Wow.
the way, that is the way you can actually get called up, for multiple interviews. And the more you go for interviews, the more you learn. So don't feel discouraged that they are not calling you back. It's a chance for you to
Part of
learn more.
process. It's a part of process. I mean, if they are not calling you back, if there are rejections, that is a part of the process, and that
Right.
should not let you down. I mean, you should not feel, oh, why am I getting rejection? Whether my resume is not good. It's not that. It's just because it takes time for the recruiter to find you and call you for the interview, right? So I
Right.
think patience is the key here. Very nice. So moving on
Right.
to the next question, I mean, I think this is very important for the people who are aspiring to be a DevOps engineer. That currently you're working as a DevOps engineer, and in your current role, which DevOps tools and technologies do you use most frequently, and why are these important in your day-to-day work? I mean, like if you can just throw some light. So there are two questions, like what are the tools and technologies you are using right now in your current role, and why do you think that these are important in day-to-day life or day-to-day
All
work?
right. Okay, cool. That's, it's an interesting question actually. Yeah, for me, in my day-to-day work these days, I probably use tools like GitHub, Git, and all of that, for versioning control system, and why those tools like Git for versioning is very important in DevOps environment is because it gives room for collaboration with other team member. Let's say I and Naman and someone else were all engineer in the same team. Yeah, whenever I use Git versioning, I can just make changes to my code base and deploy it, right? And then Naman will be able to see whatever changes I have made. And he too, or another team member can actually make changes to that same code base and then deploy it, and I will be able to see what he or she has committed. So it's basically for it's good for collaboration, and then it's also good for keeping your code base clean, and it's also good for security purposes, so that you don't use tool that you have to like merge directly to the master branch or to the main branch. So Git versioning give you a room to create your own branch and then be able to do whatever you want to do in your own branch and actually push it to the remote repository for whoever is going to review it before it can be merged to the master branch. So Git versioning is basically, for kind of collaboration. Is basically for you to play around with your code base. It's basically for you to play around with your infrastructure, whatever configuration that your company wants you to do, or whatever they have laid on ground already. So that is one of the tools I'm using. I also use Jenkins, but minimally, but in my company we use code build. Code build is just like Jenkins, but in terms of code build, whatever you have done from your Git versioning control like GitHub or Git, you are able to like deploy it directly. For example, if you are using Terraform, so definitely you have your Terraform configuration, and Terraform, you can also have what we call TerraGrunt. It's kind of a complete package that whenever you are downloading Terraform, you have TerraGrunt downloaded. So whatever Terraform or TerraGrunt command that your company is using at the time, you can just, make your changes in your GitHub or in your Git or in your, whatever versioning tools that you are using at the time. And then you just apply those commands, just like the first speaker talked about it. You just apply those commands and they go straight to your code base. And then you are able to go to your cloud environment and view them. And also I also use Docker as well. And just like we talked about Docker when we were showing the logo, the practice earlier, I use Docker. And the reason for Docker is because it helps, when you are deploying your application, it helps for you to like put your application in the same container, and that is the essence of a Docker. So it's like a containerization tool where you containerize your tools and then deploy them in one entity instead of having to deploy each part of code differently. So those are majorly the kind of tools I use. And then I use monitoring tools that way. We can use CloudWatch, we can use Grafana. Those are very important tools as a DevOps engineer because they give you an insight into the behavior of your application or whatever you are deploying at the time, because you are able to see the real life deployment. You are able to see how the application is behaving. If there are some threshold exist, kind of existing threshold like metrics, you are able to use them to collect your metrics and see how your deployment is going from time to time. And it helps also for collaboration. If your code is failing, if your application is failing, it's already alerting you there. And then I also use Slack as well and chatbot. And the reason for Slack and chatbot is because you are able to subscribe to your SNS, so that whenever there's an ECS, there's an RDS deployment, it will send a notification to your Slack handles, and then, hey, every member of the team that is also subscribed to that particular Slack handle is able to see, how the application is failing, or if it is running successfully, or if somebody tampered with it. So basically, those are just the basic tools
So
that I use
I,
in
yeah,
my
so as,
journey.
as you, sorry to cut you, but as you said, like there are some important tools which I'm gonna repeat it for students, right, who are part of this journey. Okay, so just stay, stay with us before we get to that question. So just to conclude about what Emmanuel has just said, that Git is one of the very important tool where you should focus on for collaboration. Second, Docker and Terraform and Jenkins. These are the three important tools which Emmanuel uses in day-to-day life, because that's part of the whole DevOps ecosystem, right? And after that, he talked about very important things, that like two important things. One is like the monitoring tool, because DevOps environment is always a big, big environment. It's not a small environment, it's a big environment. Until and unless you have a monitoring system in place, you cannot see it. So having an idea about monitoring services like CloudWatch or something like that is very important. And if something goes wrong, team has to be notified, and that has to be done with the Slack handle. So this is what Emmanuel has just said, that these are some of the tools and technologies what he uses in his day-to-day life. So, and I think this is a very great input for people who wants to get into a DevOps role. That if you basically master these things, I think that becomes a very good story to tell in your next interview. Am I right,
Right.
Emmanuel?
Right.
Okay, so the next question, like, what advice would you give someone who wants to build a long-term career in DevOps? I know that there are hundreds of aspirants we meet every day. So, what are your 2 cents for them so that they can focus on their long-term career in DevOps? Do they really
All
need to
right.
know programming? Whether can they combine DevOps with programming like Python, or what are your inputs?
Okay. Well, for my advice and inputs to that regard is, whosoever want to be successful in DevOps engineering, first of all, you want to have a mindset of somebody who want to continue to learn, not just because you've gotten a job or you think you have learned everything. No, you must have a mindset of somebody who want to continue to learn, because DevOps continue to evolve every day and tools continue to evolve every day. In fact, just yesterday, I woke up and I came to work and I discovered AWS has updated some of their interface. So just yesterday. So you can see that if you are not ready to learn, you may not be able to use such interface or such minor tool. So you must prepare your mind, to be a continuous learner. Then also, you must also keep yourself abreast of the tools that are springing to the market. Like right now, most of the DevOps or most companies are beginning to integrate Dynatrace, ServiceNow, and all of that. You must be able to actually look out for them and also learn them. And then, even if you have gotten a job, or maybe you have just lost a job and you're preparing for another one, do not leave DevOps for 24 hours. If you leave DevOps for 24 hours, DevOps is going to leave you. So always sleep, eat, and wake up with DevOps in your mind. If you are walking on the street, imagine your steps that you are taking. That is a deployment. If you are talking to somebody on the phone, the transmission, that is a deployment. Keep such little ideas in your mind, and you definitely going to succeed. And then keep working on your soft skill, like your communication skills, your collaboration skills, how you interact with people. And then you must also be somebody who want to have the zeal and mindset of speaking in public as well. How do I mean public? Because every day as a DevOps engineer, you are going to be attending stand-up meetings where you're going to be briefing your team members what you have done yesterday, what you're doing today, and what you plan to do tomorrow. And you must also be a contributor. If you learn something new, try to push it out to someone who needs it in your team. Try to always collaborate with people, who you can actually teach what you have learned. That way you are learning it the more. Because for me, there are some students in Thinkcloudly right now that are my friends. sometimes we connect. I do not know a lot, but we connect, and when they ask me a question, sometimes I share my screen and I do a deployment for them, and they see what a real life environment is. So that way you motivate them, and then you also motivate yourself as well. So, if you have those mindset, definitely you are going to succeed as a DevOps engineer. And always keep your connection with your alumni. You know what I mean? Like if you graduate from Thinkcloudly right now, always keep your connection with the students you graduated with, or the students still there. Always keep your connection with the team of Thinkcloudly, because they are in one way or the other going to be supportive to you. And always seek a support. Even if you are in a job already, seek a support, because no one knows it all. Somebody will be there to support you, and you will definitely be there to support someone. That way you will continue to thrive and succeed in area of DevOps engineering or IT generally.
Sure. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I mean, we have already overshot the time, but I think the questions what we have planned, we were able to cover for all the people who have joined. Thank you so much for.
Thank you for watching. Switch from non-IT to IT today. Explore www.thinkcloudly.com.